the kid could go to a big school that has a really good program, team sport, where he might play a little bit, or go to a school that has a okay or not good program where he might play a lot. What would you suggest your child do?
You should probably go to the first school.
The big school. With a strong program.
Correct.
Why?
Because I don't believe so much in being a big fish in a small pond, because you don't have as much talent, as much opportunities to develop yourself and to grow.
So you can't get better because you're the best player already.
You are the best one already.
Right.
But it's all about growth and development. It's not about necessarily being number one. I mean, that's how you become number one. So if you have the opportunities to grow and develop, then eventually you have a chance to become a bigger fish in a bigger pond rather than staying a big fish in a small pond.
Good point. I'm going to use that.
I know I wrote a book, right? It's called Buy a Game, and it's free. Click the link down there. You got it.
DreAllDay.com.
What's good, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. This is a question I've been getting over the years many times. I know I've done some videos where I kind of talked about this, but I want to make one dedicated video where I talk about it exclusively on this vid. Someone just asked me about this on Snapchat last week, and I was just talking, that audio that you heard there, that was me talking to my woman about this exact topic. Now, we don't have kids, but I said to her, look, we had kids, and our kid was in this situation. We go to the school, and this is the situation for those who don't understand. Should you, and this is a question people ask me, and it's the same question I asked her, say we have a child, our child's 13, 14 years old, about to decide what high school to go to. Any team sport, baseball, football, basketball, doesn't matter. They could either go to the school that has a really strong program and probably a lot of talent, which is why the program's so good, or a lot of good players, and maybe possibly not get a lot of playing time at first because there's so much talent, so many good players in front of them, or go to a smaller school or a weaker school or a school that doesn't have a well-established program, probably doesn't have a lot of talent, and maybe be the star right from the jump and get a whole lot of playing time, a lot of chance to do their thing. Which one would you suggest our child go to if that was the choice? And she said, I'd rather see them go to the bigger school. Go to the school with a stronger program. And that's the same thing that I'm going to tell you here in this video, and I'm going to break down a few points in that as to why. So I'm going to come back to that. So I'm giving you the punchline right here at the beginning for those of you who just want to know what's my answer. That's the answer, but I'm going to explain it through the rest of this video. Here's a few questions that you got to ask yourself if you're looking at this challenge. If you're one of these players, or maybe you're a parent of the player, maybe you're an advisor of the player, and you're looking at this situation. Do I send them to the school where they might not play a lot at the beginning, maybe not play at all for 4 years, or send them to the school where they could just jump in and be a starter as a freshman and maybe dominate and be the top scorer and get all the attention? Which one would I send? Which one should I send my child to? Or you may be the child. Which one should I go to? It's a few questions you need to ask yourself here. Number one question you got to ask yourself is, what kind of athlete are you? What kind of person are you? What kind of athlete and what kind of person are you? Because there's only a certain type of individual who looks at the situation and says, okay, there's a whole bunch of good players over here and a whole bunch of weak players over here. I'm going to go to where the weak players are so I can be the star. There's a certain mindset that goes into making that decision, because that's basically what it is, right? When people ask me the question, that's pretty much what it boils down to. They say, I can go to the weak program, or I can go to the strong program where everybody's good. They got all these guys that go D1, or I can go to this program where the program is crappy, or they don't even win that many games. I mean, what type of mindset would you have to have as a person when you're looking at those two options? You're going to go where the weakness is, just so you could be the star. I want to know who are you as a person if you would even consider that. That's a question you need to answer for yourself. Next thing you got to ask yourself is, what is the overall goal? Is the overall goal, I want to play 4 years of high school and then I'm done with my sport? If that's the situation, then maybe I can understand. Maybe you be the type of person who wants to go to the weak school, but I'm going to address that in a second. There's a caveat to that. And then if you want to be a pro, let's say you want to go to the pro level, because I think at 14, 15 years old, every athlete think they might have a chance to go to the pros. Okay, if you want to go to the pros, you already know what the answer is, don't you? If you want to go to the pros, there's no way you're going to get there by playing against the weak ones. There's no way you're going to get there by playing with the weak ones. And here's another thing. Often athletes come to me and they use this excuse, which I definitely call this 100% an excuse. And if you disagree, you're free to disagree, but it's an excuse no matter what you say. Players are like, well, at my school, I'm a good player and I can do this. And they start telling me, they give me their little scouting report, all the skills that they got. And they say, but scouts don't come to my school, or scouts don't come to our games, or scouts don't come to watch games in my league, or because of where I live, no scouts come to the games, or nobody sees me play. What am I supposed to do? This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to step your motherfucking game up. Because if you could play, scouts will come to the game. Players often ask this, they say, well, how do I get scouts to come to my game? You got to have some games for scouts to come to the game. Y'all got to understand what scouts do. Scouts don't say, all right, we're going to go to every game for this team, and this team, just because of the name of the team, just because we like their uniforms or we like the logo. No, scouts come to games to see players who they may want on their teams. All right, that's what scouts come to games for. Whether we talking pro scouts, college scouts, high school, AAU, whatever. They come to the games to see players who have skills who they think may be able to help their team or whatever their situation is, their client, their agent, their organization, whatever it is they got going on. Everybody understand that? So if you're on a team and scouts ain't coming to the games, that's because you are not performing at a high enough level to get a scout's attention to make them need to come to the game. These are facts, people. This is not an opinion. This is a fact. If a scout needed to see you play, I guarantee a scout would be at that game watching you play. Now, if you haven't given the scout a reason to come see you play, then that's something that you can fix with your performance. Now, let's get back to the topic here of do you go to the bigger school or to the smaller school? And something that my lady mentioned, and when I asked her the question, this hypothetical question that she had never heard before, by the way, is that if you want to get better as a person, forget sports, whether you're going to become an entrepreneur out of school, you're going to go get yourself a good job in a professional world, corporate America, or you want to become a professional athlete. Listen, how are you possibly going to get better at anything you do in life if you're aiming to be the big fish in a small pond? So you want to go somewhere where you know the competition is weak, you know there are no good players on your team, you know the program is not good, but you want to go play there. Why? So you can get attention and be the star, and then you can come bitch to me 2 years from now talking about scouts ain't coming to the game, right? Why would you even want to do that? If you want to get better as a person, you got to go to where it's at. And I talked about this maybe a month or two ago. There's a video, there was this dude, y'all remember the N1 mixtape? There was this dude named Alamo. I remember they had the N1 mixtape show, was on ESPN. Alamo was on the show one time, and he was like, yo, we be traveling around to these different cities, and these dudes be really thinking that they nice when they ain't playing. They be thinking they nice when they like the only basketball player in the whole city. Yo, you come to the park at your city every single day, and you playing against some dude who just got off his shift at Taco Bell, and you was busting his ass, but you think you the man because you be killing in the pickup games. Like, yo, you're not playing against nobody. If you think you good in pickup, in street ball, you got to come to where the street ball is at. The home of the street ball is New York City. And he was absolutely right. He said, if you really think you got it, you got to come to where it's at, and you got to play against the dudes who's out here doing it every day, guys who can play for real. And if you don't go to that level, then you can't consider yourself one of the best. And he was absolutely right with that point. And I'm giving y'all that point to analogize to this right here. If you want to get better, you want to call yourself one of the best, you want to go to the pros, you want to play in college, you want to get a D1 scholarship, whatever it is you want to achieve in your sport, you can't get there playing against weak competition on purpose. You can't get there associating yourself with weak athletes or weak performers on purpose. I talked about, y'all know about the law of association. If you don't, law of association very simply states is you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So you look at who you are as a person right now, and if you don't like it, then you need to look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. You know who they are. They probably sitting next to you right now. You might need to make some changes in your associations. And that person who's sitting next to you, don't take it personal. Maybe you need to make some changes yourself. Maybe both y'all need to make a change and go different directions. Maybe y'all are good for each other and you need to change the other 4 in the circle. But if you're going to go to a school where the program is not strong and the players aren't that good, how are you going to get better? If nobody on your team's good, because mind you, you're practicing a whole lot more than you're playing, right? You're in practice all these days. Maybe you got 2-3 games a week. You might have practice 6-7 times a week. You might have 1 game a week and 7 practices a week. You're always practicing way more than you're playing. You're going to be around your teammates more than you're around the opponents, right? So if you're around your teammates all the time and they're not good and you're good, how are you going to get better? If you become the average of the 5 people you're around the most, and this could be in every area of life, business, finances, relationships, people skills, athletic ability, the 5 basketball players you spend the most time around, those are the players you're going to become like. If they're all weak, how are you going to get better? How is it possible? How can you reasonably expect, with a straight face, expect that you're going to get better if you're playing against weak competition on purpose? We know the answer. You can't. So the answer to this whole question, should I go to the stronger school where I might not play a lot, or go to the weaker school where I know I can play a whole lot from the beginning? The answer actually is neither. The answer is you need to go to the stronger school, and then you need to step your damn game up so you can play a lot at the strong school because you earned your spot against players who can actually damn play, and you're getting yourself seen, heard, and known by the scouts out there who you want to get scouted by, or whatever it is you're looking for as your outcome from doing all this. And you get to grow as an individual, and you get to learn about yourself. Are you strong enough to rise up to the challenge of the competition, or are you a weakling who's going to go to where it's weak on purpose because you know that's an easy victory? Listen, if you real, you go to where the competition is the strongest, so you play against the best. We all know this to be true, right? Don't all of you already know this to be true? The best teams go up against the best. You're looking for the best to go against so you can prove yourself. You look at football. Look at a school like the University of Alabama in football. They recruit top 10, top 5 recruiting classes year after year after year. What do you think Nick Saban, the football coach of Alabama, is telling those high school players? You the number 3 high school player in the whole nation. I'm recruiting you to come to my school to just win a national championship. What do you think he's saying to that player? What is he selling that player on? Is he saying, yeah, man, you're going to start from day one. You're going to get all this playing time. You're going to be the star. Everybody's going to know your name. You think he's saying that to those players? Hell no, he ain't saying that to those players. I don't know what he's saying. I haven't heard any of his conversations, but I'm going to guess what Nick Saban's saying to that player. If I was the coach, if I'm Nick Saban and I'm sitting in your living room with your mom and your dad, your uncle and your grandma, and you throwing the football up in the air to yourself, and I'm trying to sell you on Alabama, and everybody's telling you how great you are at your high school, this is what I'm going to tell you. Listen, son, you come to Alabama, you might not play, because we got a whole lot of guys who will kick your ass all up and down the field for your first spring practice, your first spring with our football team. We got guys who want to kick your ass all up and down the field your whole first 2 seasons. You might not see the field your freshman year. But if you stick around, if you're mentally tough enough, if you follow the program, you follow our system, and you do what we say do, I know you have the talent to eventually earn yourself a starting spot on this roster. Earn yourself a starting spot. Earn yourself snaps or playing time, whatever they call it in football. That's what I'm selling him. I'm selling on, are you competitive enough to show up to where the best are, and you willing to prove yourself against the best? Now, if you want to go play against some weaklings, listen, you got 50 other scholarships offers from all these other weak-ass schools out here. None of them beat us. So you could lose to us every year in the championship game or in the college football playoff or in the SEC. If you want to lose to us for the next 4 years, you can go to any one of these other schools offering you a scholarship. Okay, so the scholarship's not in question. Everybody wants to give you a scholarship. The question is, what kind of player are you? Are you competitive enough to go against the best? Because you see this ring on my finger, don't you, son? All right, we are the best. Okay, you see we ranked number 1 in recruiting class, right? That means all the best high school players in the nation, more of them are coming to our school than going to any other school. So are you good enough to prove yourself against the best, or are you scared you're gonna go play at UF or LSU or Auburn or any one of those other weak ass schools that can't fuck with us? Which one? What you about, son? What you want to do? That's what I'm saying. If I'm Nick Saban, I ain't gotta kiss this kid's ass. I don't need you, son. You don't come here. Look, I gotta do twice as good as you, who been playing for the last 2 years, who will bust your ass if you go to a different school. I don't need you. Now you might not have this conversation. Maybe you're not going to the University of Alabama, but you gotta ask yourself a question. What type of player are you? What type of man or woman are you if you're looking to go play against the weaklings just so you can start, just so you can get some playing time, just so you can score some more points, just so you can be the star? What are you about? And if that's what you're about, listen, you might be watching the wrong YouTube video. I might not be the right person for you, because that's a foreign language of thinking to me. So I think that answers all of your questions. Work on your game. DreAllDay.com.